Hello everybody, you're listening to The Art Show on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound. I'm your host Dane Cobain. This is the weekly radio show where we chat about the local arts news. We have a different guest on each week. We head over to the Rhylight Zone for a short story and or some poetry. We have announcements from the local community. And we head over to the Oak Shed to catch up with Twangling Jack Ford for a weekly album review. As always, you can find us on Facebook. If you search for The Art Show on Wickham Sound, you should be able to find us. And we are repeat on Wickham Sound on Monday nights. We're on the Wickham Sound Listen Again, iTunes, Spotify, and wherever else you get your podcasts. Please don't forget to leave us a short review on your podcast platform of choice. If you want to reach out to me here at the studio, you can also do so because you can drop me a line on dane.cobain@wickhamsound.org.uk. That's dane.cobain@wickhamsound.org.uk. So, this week we're going to be chatting to author Dora Porcaro, but before we do that, we are going to pick up with this week's announcement. Alright, so an update from Twangling Jack Ford. He writes in to say, as myself and Saul Hawkes have been busking in Wickham Town Centre, usually around lunchtime on a Sunday. We are concentrating on early 70s rockers played by David Bowie, T-Rex, Slade, Mott the Hoople, etc. We call ourselves the Glam Buskers. We also have a gig at Festival 2025 on the 3rd of August at the Bell in Risborough. As is always the way in the Wickham music scene, Matt on drums also plays in another band and Phil on bass plays in 2 other bands. So I'm looking for anyone who wants to busk, either in the playing in the street meaning of the word or also to play without being fully rehearsed. Maybe to get more gigs. Also, please check out my Twangling Jack in the Oak Shed YouTube channel with all my recommendations, spoken word pieces and original music. And please like and subscribe. Alright, that was this week's announcement, and now we're going to head over to the Rhylight Zone for the latest instalment of Monsters of Rock by myself, Dane Cobain. It was the morning of Thursday, July 22nd. Pablo Escobar had just escaped from prison, and Yeva Jankowskis couldn't sleep because some Sudurikis was playing a bass line on what sounded like a World War II howitzer. Literally, no. But at least he was playing Black Sabbath. Yeva was inside the van, lying down in her bunk and staring at the psychedelic lotus on the throw that hung down from the roof of the vehicle. She had a joint in her hand and was watching the smoke curling up and gathering into a cloud of mist at the top of the van. She took a deep pull on the roach, flicked the end into a handmade ashtray, then took another drag before grinding the nub into the clay until the embers went out. Then, as though she'd just arrived at some momentous decision and couldn't wait to get started, she hopped up from her bed and put her coat on, then pulled a woolen poncho over her shoulders. When she opened the door, it swung out of her hands and against the door of the camper van, shaking snow from the roof and leaving a dent in the metal. Yeva closed the door and inspected the damage, then shook her head and made her way out into the morning in search of the would-be geezer butler. It wasn't hard to find him. She just had to follow the groove. Besides, she was a drow elf. She could sense the vibrations in the air. They led her down a little closer to sea level, across a muddy incline, through a small forest of imposing-looking trees and onto a ledge where a heap of rocks was playing a bass guitar. On closer inspection, it turned out to be a mountain troll. The troll was an Adonis, a muscular stone sculpture of a creature that stood around 9 feet tall and who looked like he weighed more than a small car. He didn't, but he wasn't far off. He had a set of bagpipes strapped to his back, but the real wonder was his bass guitar. It wasn't just a bog standard Squire precision bass, no. It was an electric double bass that he wore strapped around his shoulders as though it was the most normal thing in the world. The instrument, which would have towered above Yeva, looked like a banjo in the troll's massive arms, and he was slapping at the strings with enough force to crush a man's skull. It made his bass lines sound as though they were strapped to a train and rushing out of the gaping mouth of some dark underground tunnel. The notes he played hit Yeva in the face. She wondered if they'd leave marks. The troll was playing with his eyes closed and humming the lyrics as he went. Yeva hung back and watched from 30 feet, 10 meters, they were still in Latvia, away, as he finished the outro to Paranoid and opened his eyes. For a second, it was as though he was staring out into the void. He'd been possessed by the music. But then she realised that trolls just looked permanently stoned. She supposed it was a byproduct of having a brain made out of calcium carbonate. Then he spoke with a voice like thunder as it rolled across the hills. "Who are you?" he said. "My name's Yeva Jankowskis," the elf replied, shivering a little as the creature loomed over her, blocking out the early morning sun. "Sabbath, huh? Good choice." The troll looked uncertain for a moment. Yeva could tell he was thinking because she could hear the sound of shifting masonry as he scrunched up his forehead. "You play? Does a centaur in the woods?" "Yes, so watch your step." Another pause. "What instrument?" "Piano," Yeva replied. Or keyboard. I've got a Casio in the van. I like your sound, Yeva said. How about we jam sometime? The troll repeated. Or maybe I could eat you. Please don't eat me. Tell you what, Yeva said. Let me ask you a riddle. If you get it right, you can eat me. And if I get it wrong? That's easy. Yeva grinned at him, which seemed to unnerve the troll. You let me jam with you. Okay. Excellent, Yeva said. Okay, let me see now. Let's go for a classic. What have I got in my pockets? Nothing. Nope. Something. Well, I mean, technically. But what? I'll give you 2 more guesses. You smell like leaf. You have leaf in your pocket. Yeva laughed and thanked her lucky stars that she'd left her stash in the van. Close, she said, but no cigar. Last guess. The troll paused for a moment and then said, The One Ring to rule them all, forged by the Dark Lord Sauron in the fires of Mount Doom. Do I look like a hobbit? Yeva asked. She was smiling, even though the massive troll could have snapped her in half like an angry toddler with a Barbie doll if he'd wanted to. What was the answer? I'm a dark elf, she reminded him, grinning up at his crabby face. This close she could see that he needed a shave. He had lichen growing in a syphilitic goatee. My pockets are full of darkness. I'll go and get my keyboard. The 2 musicians maintained an uneasy truce, although the troll always suspected he'd been conned, and they would soon run through whatever songs they both knew. It was a weird mix, ranging from Black Sabbath to the Beatles, Buddy Holly and Duran Duran, but there was something about the way the troll played that made Yeva's keyboard lines and light, airy vocals sound like the voice of a guardian angel at the call of the trumpet. Every day he said to her, I'm going to eat you tomorrow. And yet the morning would come. They'd start making music, and the troll would put it off until the afternoon, and then the evening, and then the morning of the following day. On the 5th day, she asked him his name. Gurst. Gurst? Gurst. I see. Very cool. The 2 of them didn't speak much. They didn't have to. Their music spoke for itself, tearing the day and the night in two. They started off with cover songs and quickly moved on to originals, mostly written by Yeva in her native Elvish. It took the guttural, in-your-face brutality of Kurst's bass lines and added an ethereal quality. For the first week, they sounded good. In the second week, they sounded great. By the end of the month, they sounded amazing, and they started thinking of something more than just passing the time in the mountains. They started to think about making music for a living. That was the latest instalment of Monsters of Rock by myself, Dane Cobain, for this week's entry into the Rhylight Zone. You're listening to The Archer on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound, and this is Straight 8 with Girl I Wanna Dance With You.
To me now. Say this, who taught you how to move like that? Yeah, well I know for sure you didn't learn that at school. No, 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 no. Where's my very color? Don't ask him, dance with me instead. Hey baby, girl I wanna dance with you. Yeah.
joking. I'm still broken, rubbing salt into the wound. I'm still reeling, don't know what I'm feeling, rubbing salt into the wound. You left these scars, then that's my heart. It's not your fault. We're rubbing salt into the wounds, that's all we do. When that lonely bear rejects me to the world, I realize the operating table's turned. You cauterize, you theorize, you cut me down so deep. Just wish I could sleep forever. Sleep. You're mine, I eat you. You rub the salt into my chagrin. It's not a sin to hide your pride. Stops you seeing straight. You berate, chastise me on the pride ceiling. I'm on my knees kneeling and I'm feeling that's gotta be appealing. I'm pleasing. Yeah, you say you flame me for playing. Say on your Facebook page, everything's okay. Everything's okay. It's rubbing salt into the wounds, that's all we do. Become attuned. I'm rubbing salt into the wound. But you seems like you bloom, like you bloom, like you bloom, like you bloom, like you bloom. It's rubbing salt into the wounds, that's all we do. That's all we do. It's rubbing salt into the wound. That's all we do.
That was Mika England. Before that we had Girl I Wanna Dance With You by Straight 8. You're listening to The Art Show on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound, and it's time for us to be joined now in conversation by this week's guest, who is author Dora Porcaro. This question is my traditional opening question, which is what was the last book that you read and what did you think of it?
Yeah, sure. Fantastic. The last book that I read, hi everybody, is I've got it actually here because I love it. for those who can't see, it's called Beautiful Ruins by Jess Walter. And the reason I read it is because a dear friend of mine actually gave it to me, Chloe, and she said that she felt that the book reminded her of my book.
Mm-hmm.
So I went ahead and read it and thought, oh my God, this guy is a literary genius. And quite frankly, if I write like he does, I'd be a really happy girl. So yeah, it
Yeah.
was a great compliment.
Awesome. Well, and I wanted to chat to you kind of about your writing to date. So obviously
Sure.
you've switched to writing under your real name. I won't necessarily give away your pseudonym if you if you don't want to, but I
Oh
wondered
no, I don't
what
mind at all. I don't
well I
mind at all.
wondered what's behind that choice to writing under your real name.
Honestly, well, a couple of things. I never really concerned about having a things under my name, to be
Mm,
honest. Um, it was something that I certainly, when I did my publishing course, it was discussed to write things under a pen name, and so I just automatically wrote my entertainment comedy books, which
hmm.
were comedies that I love, under the name of Dana Deltram. But the reality is, I have no qualms about using my personal name. I like it. I've had it for a long time. So for me to have it seems like a good plan. So
Yeah.
that's why I chose to use my own name. Yeah.
Cool. And you mentioned there, I mean, it's a bit of a switch going from sort of non-fiction about comedy to writing romance. I mean, I'm sure, knowing you, I'm sure there's a fair share of comedic elements to the romance as well. But what was that like going from sort of non-fiction to fiction and a genre fiction?
Ooh, oh my gosh, it was a ride. I'm not going to lie, it was a ride. It certainly uses a different part of your brain. I
Yeah.
felt just getting involved in that creative side. I mean, I've been writing as a kid, and I've been reading, of course, since I was a kid. So the actual writing process wasn't necessarily foreign to me, but what was foreign was becoming accustomed to working under various tropes and
Hmm.
understanding what a trope is and the importance of a trope, understanding a story arc and character arc. uh, yeah, I'm not going to lie, that was fairly tough. And I was just and am continually forever grateful that I have a great bunch of people who have supported me in learning the craft. So, yeah, it was
Yep.
tough though. I'm not going to lie, it was tough. Yeah.
Well, and you mentioned
But love it.
tropes.
Can I say, but I just want to say one thing about that. As much as I say that I have found it tough, I absolutely love what I do. And a tough day at work when I am writing is so joyous as opposed to what it was like when I was in corporate life.
Yeah.
So for this and for me, a tough day is never a tough day. It's still something I absolutely love doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you mentioned tropes, and I wondered, can you tell us what is a trope, and tell us about some of the tropes that you kind of write about and use?
Yeah, sure, sure. So tropes is a particular theme that I'm just going to dumb it down, which is how I need it to be explained for me. So, a trope is a particular theme that you like about a storyline. So, for me, as an example, tropes that I really enjoy are enemies to lovers. I love it when they're really snarky, when the
Mm.
characters are really snarky with each other. One of my other tropes that I really enjoy is found family. Some people might not consider that a trope, but I certainly do. I love that when a person feels that they're actually quite isolated as a character, and then they find their people and their tribe. Yeah, tropes.
Cool.
Heaps of them. And most people, most readers, my understanding is, will go for specific type of
Mm.
tropes. I love rom com as well. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and that makes sense. And I wanted to ask kind of your approach to romance, because obviously romance goes from the very sweet to the very spicy. Whereabouts do you
Yeah,
fall on that spectrum, and how would you kind of describe your
sure.
style of romance to readers?
Yeah, sure. So I am definitely a steamy contemporary writer. I like open door. I feel that part of a relationship and the growth within a relationship is also an intimate one as
Hmm.
well. I'm not into sex scenes just for the sake of having
Mm.
sex. Mine are very much based on characters growing through the process of being intimate with each other. I write slow burn romances so that there is a real build up before we get to the bedroom, so to speak. Um, Still very spicy, but
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah, no worries. And I got to ask this, and you can feel free to not answer if
Sure.
you want. Is any of the
Yeah,
storylines or any of your work inspired by real life?
absolutely. All of it. All of it. So the Amore series in particular, and being set in Bormio, is all because of my friend Carmela, and this is not something that she and I have actually discussed.
Mm.
So I went to Bormio, which is in the northern Alps of Italy, many years ago, to catch up with Carmela. So Carmela is an Italo-Australian, like me, Italian parents born in Australia, who moved to Bormio, and she moved to Bormio for a change of life and change of scene. And when I went there, I not only fell in love with the town, I fell in love with what she had created there for herself. She had really reinvented her life in Bormio. And of course, in comes her now husband, Paolo, lovely, stunning Italian man, gorgeous, gorgeous personality in his own right. So that was the impetus. That was really the genesis of me writing this particular
Mm.
storyline. I write standalone romances, even though they're all under the series called the Amore series, which means love. And what I have really created is characters that are either partially me and my stories or my friends' stories.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Awesome. Cool. And I mean,
yeah.
speaking of the setting, I suppose the setting in itself is almost like a character in their own right. What can you tell us about your approach to the setting? Where do these stories take place?
Yeah, sure. So the first book actually starts. I've got two of the books that will be in Bormio. Actually, three of them will be in Bormio, and one is in Lake Como.
Mm.
So Bormio was easy for me. I've been there. I have a set point. I write where I've been. That
Yeah.
tends to be. I write where I've been, so I have an intimate understanding of it. It was really helpful, of course, having someone like Carmela, who is still resides in Baltimore as well as in America. So it's always really handy to have people on point. I do a lot of research as well to make sure that I am giving the best knowledge of Baltimore that I possibly can. And I have followed some really cool people in Baltimore as well. So Baltimore, just for anyone who isn't aware, the Winter Olympics next year, two of the events are actually going to be in Baltimore.
Mm.
So, of course, I've got characters that are ski people, so to speak, who are competitors. And of course, there will be a love interest that is actually a ski champion and maybe might just have to win the Olympics event. Yeah, so that's what I do. I get right into the country, the town that I'm involved in. The main drag that I talk about, Via Roma. Carmela, in fact, worked on Via Roma, and one of the characters actually has the shop that she worked in. So the store that she was working in is all inspired by where she used to work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. You're listening to The Arch Show on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound. I'm your host, Dane Cobain. I'm here in conversation with author Dora Porcaro, and this is Radio Generation with Milk and Alcohol.
1, 2, 3, 4.
That was Milk and Alcohol by Radio Generation. You're listening to The Arch Show on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound. I'm your host, Dane Cobain, and it's time for us to be rejoined in conversation now by this week's guest, who is author Dora Porcaro. And you describe some of the banter in your novels as sharp enough to count as foreplay. What are some of the keys to writing banter like that?
I don't know. I honestly think it's me. I think that I am really quick-witted. You would know that about me, Dane. So I'm quick-witted. I'm really quick to jump back with a response. In fact, my cousin literally just sent a text message from the UK. She's in the UK at the moment, and she sent a photograph of a piece of chocolate. And oh, hang on, are you PG here? Is this a PG?
We can bleep it.
You might have to bleep it. Anyway, look, she sent this little piece of chocolate with a name on it, which basically I then turned around and said, well, this is something the boys can get into, and can you tell that I've been writing smut lately? So there's that quick wit. So when I'm So when I'm talking about that sort of sharp, quick wit for a character, I honestly go in and I become that character.
Mm,
What would she say? What would he say? So their humor isn't always necessarily my humor and something I would particularly say, but because I've done so much back history and backstory about my characters, I I have the essence of who
mm.
they are and how they would banter back.
Yeah, yeah, that makes sense. They almost write themselves when it's like that.
They do. Do you find that as well with yours?
Depends on the characters. Certainly in my detective series, a lot of them do, and like the main characters do. But equally, there are
Yeah.
times when I've been writing something and that hasn't happened, and that's when you start to doubt yourself, and you think like, oh, am I losing my touch? Are these characters no good? But sometimes, sometimes characters are just, they're almost they're like sort of like tight-lipped and like buttoned up, and so it's almost like that you can't see them because
Yeah.
they don't want you to see them as people. It's very strange.
Yeah. It is,
Cool.
isn't it? I just find, I don't know about you, but did you find this, Dane? Like when I used to hear writers say, oh, he said this, or she, no, she wouldn't say that. I'm like, these people are real people to you. Like when you start speaking about them like they're your real people mates, do you find that do you find that that's what happens for you? I suppose is the question
Yeah.
I'm going to ask. Is that what happens to you, that they become real people? Because my people have become my mates now.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. But interestingly, I've just finished listening to a podcast about a sitcom here in the UK called Peep Show, and the
Yeah.
two hosts in that they've constantly been like analyzing decisions and been like, do you think he said this because he's thinking this, or do you think he did this because of so and so? And they had to keep reminding each other like they're not real people. They don't exist outside the story. They said this because that's what
I
the
know.
script said, and like they actually had one of the actors on to say like, who do you think was like the one for him? Who was the love interest he should have been with? And the actor was just like, well, he doesn't end up with any of them, and that's the way it was written. So I think that's how it should be. Like that serves the
Yeah.
story. Remember, they're not actually people as much as you might like them to be. But again, with good writing, you
Yeah.
forget that, I think.
Yeah. True. True.
Cool. So I wanted to ask you, I know in the past you've had sort of you mentioned it, you described it as an award-winning legal career. And I wondered, are there any
Yeah.
crossover skills between your award-winning legal career and your hopefully soon to be award-winning writing career?
Oh, thank you. I'd love that. Award-winning writing career. The thing that has certainly come up as something that is just as important in this industry as it was in the previous industries that I was involved in is being really authentic.
Mm,
I am finding, and it's interesting because I'm not that great at social media. I truly aren't. I do the best that I can, but I know that I miss the mark for what
mm,
would potentially be considered, the right professional way of doing it. It's so fascinating, though, that when I am really driven, heart driven, that there is more of a response
yeah.
to my socials. And I certainly am finding that even in the way in which I work, the way that I worked in corporate was very much related to having a real heart for the industry that I was in at the time. And that's what showed. I mean, one of the awards was being the most local favourite business. And that comes from heart. That doesn't come from having just a good way of writing contracts,
Mm,
as an example. So I'd like to think that transferring that skill set, which it's not a skill set, is it? You're just because you're working from your
mm,
heart. So being authentic and turning up and being the best version of yourself and giving as best you can as a means of service to my readers in
yeah.
this case is at the forefront. So when I am writing, I'm writing with the hope that I provide just a couple little sprinkles of joy.
Mm, yeah. Yeah, well, I think you
Yeah,
described your work as like escapist reading as well, which is, I think, increasingly in the world we
yeah,
live in today. You go on, you read the news for 5 minutes,
isn't
and you're
it?
like, I need to read something nicer than this, otherwise I'm going to go crazy. So,
Yeah, I
yeah,
agree, huh? I absolutely agree. Yeah, I'm really mindful of just how much news I allow
yeah,
into my sphere at the moment. Yeah, and books are great.
yeah.
Books are great for that, definitely.
Cool. So, one of the questions I want to ask, like, why should people sign up to your newsletter? What can they expect if they do so?
Yeah, so there will be lots of freebies. You'll get to receive and be the first to know about my behind the scenes. And my behind the scenes is really messy. So there's lots of discussions about me being in bed eating Barchi chocolates. There, any freebie sales, you'll get to hear about them first before anybody else does. You'll be involved in the cover reveals, and I do excerpts of my books, deleted scenes. They will only ever be part of the VIP newsletter subscription. And I have fun. It's been it's so interesting and so cool, Dane, that even now, at really the genesis of this business, it's so wonderful to have people already bantering with me and
Mm,
sending me emails. I love it. And that's really important to me, that people feel that I am approachable
yeah,
enough that they will actually send me emails and want to banter with me. Yeah.
yeah. Cool. And so, penultimate question, can you just let us know a little bit about the series, what books are in that series, when they're coming out, and all of that good stuff?
Yeah, sure. So if you do go to my website, you will always have a status. I have a status with each of the books so that you know where I'm at. Let's start with, it's called the Amore series. I am talking about having three in the series, but the reality is there's five of them. Uh, but I don't want readers to feel that I won't deliver on my promise.
Mm,
Here's what I can say is that I have written book one and book two. I've written book four, and I'm currently writing book three. They are being launched 3 months apart. So, book one of the Amore series, which is the love series that are all set in Europe, primarily Italy. Book four is actually in both Italy and in London. I have Amore Espresso, which means love expressed, or really good coffee. Thank
hmm
you. This is my Bormio cup for those who can see us. Um, it was launched on July 1. I have Dolce Devotion, which means sweet devotion. That will be launching on October 1. And I have With Love Limoncello, which is one of my favorite Italian liqueurs. That will be released on January 1st.
Big thank you to Dora Porcaro for joining me. You're listening to The Art Show on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound. I'm your host, Dane Cobain, and this is Nick Byrne with Summer Rain.
Walk, just walk with me. We'll just see. You don't have to speak. All wrapped up and hard to read. We won't seek anything. That summer rain will wash it all away. This I know, young love can be temporary. thoughts that steal your light. Waves crash down, in comes the tide. Do you feel the rush? We're frozen in time. That summer rain will wash it all away. This I know, young love can be temporary. And I'm uncertain, his youth is fleeting, but I'm still breathing, so I'll rest my burden. That summer rain will wash it all away.
She took a look from a magazine. She took the concierge and found the silver screen. For every painted smile she pays a cost in screens. A sorry tale of woe, bad luck and Ben's a dream. Mirror, mirror on the wall, don't you lie to me. Line them up and watch them fall. The truth will set you free. I don't know, but I've been told the streets round here are paved with gold. We're not getting any younger yet, I think that's getting old. The only dish I'm serving is a dish that's best served cold. And now she said she's looking for another way to blur the lines again and keep the wolf at bay. She knows she ought to leave, but something makes her stay. A sorry tale of woe with such a price to pay. Mirror, mirror on the wall, don't you lie to me. Line them up and watch them fall. The truth will set you free. I don't know, but I've been told the streets round here are paved with gold. We're not getting any younger yet, I think that's getting old. The only dish I'm serving is a dish that's best served cold. Just deal a dream for me. Dream dealer, please, please me.
was Best Served Cold by Steve Winch and The Inception, and before that we had Nick Byrne with Summer Rain. You're listening to The Art Show on 106.6 FM Wickham Sound, and it's time for us to head over to the Ilk Shed now to catch up with Twangling Jack Ford for this week's album review.
The Moody Blues Gold, the definitive collection. I have always feared that when I got old I would like dressing in beige and listening to the Moody Blues. At the age of 67, I think the latter may have happened to some degree. When I was at school, there was one truly uncool kid in the class. He carried a briefcase while I carried a gas mask case. He revered cricketers the way I revered Hendrix and The Who. And he liked the Moody Blues. And that was because his parents had all their records. There was always one Moody Blues song I always liked, which is why I used to have a compilation LP, and why now I have this CD which I picked up in a charity shop. The Moody Blues epitomised soft rock. This was a phrase that was a category in the Virgin album price list that used to take up the whole of the back page of Melody Maker. They had a dad dancing flute player that looked awkward. They wore 60s fashion well after the event. They swamped everything in harmonies, not the concise harmonies of the Beach Boys and Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, but great billowing clouds of pomposity, like I'm Not in Love, only without the irony. The keyboard player was an ex-Mellotron rep, and they loved the Mellotron, which has a sound that dated quite quickly, though now I quite like a bit of Mellotron. It has a massive, powerful sound that has never been effectively synthesised. This album features the second version of the Moody Blues, starting in the late 60s. The first version had a hit with the single Go Now, sung by Denny Laine, later of Wings. Denny Laine left and was replaced by Justin Hayward. This version of the band released the album Days of Future Past in 1967, and I was surprised that I did not hate the first track on this album, which is Tuesday Afternoon. To maintain my good mood, I skipped the next track, which was Nights in White Satin, a song I do not need or ever want to hear again. Then we get the slightly rocky Ride My Seesaw, a song I have always been okay with. The next song is Legend of a Mind, and is a song I used to hate. It is about the LSD guru Timothy Leary. It does not disguise the lysergic trip references in the lyrics in any kind of Lennon-esque poetry, but it says it like it is. I am mostly familiar with the shorter edit, and I found myself quite liking this extended version. I found the next few songs were also very pleasant as I drove on a sunny early May afternoon. Then I got to Question, which is the one Moody Blues song I have liked since I first heard it. The I'm looking for someone line has moved me all my adolescent and adult life. After that I expected it all to be over for me, but no, on came the song Story of Our Lives, a song I am fairly familiar with, but I was loving it. It has the first appearance of real distorted rock lead guitar. However, despite their name, like everything they do, it is totally devoid of blues. In part, it reminded me of Love's Forever Changes. The last two tracks on the first CD are the last Moody Blues songs I can remember hearing at the time as hit singles. Isn't Life Strange is memorable if only for the annoying repeat of the last syllable of the title. And I'm Just a Singer in a Rock and Roll Band is typical of them in that it could have been a great track if they'd given it a bit more energy and turned up the guitars. The second CD starts well with two tracks by the Blue Jays, who were Justin Hayward and the Moody Blues bass player John Lodge. I particularly like the second of these songs, Blue Guitar, another song I remember from the radio. I like the languid, meandering lead guitar. As they progress through this double album, the lead guitar playing does get much better. There is also the Justin Hayward song Forever Autumn, which I skipped, obviously. Justin Hayward's voice often offends me with its exceptional inoffensiveness. The rest of the CD is more of the same, only less inspired. More formulaic and inevitably overproduced in that 1980s way. The Moody Blues Gold, the definitive collection.
Big thank you to Twangling Jack Ford for this week's album review. Thank you to Dora Porcaro for being this week's guest. Thank you to everyone whose music I've shared. As always, you can find us on Facebook. If you search for The Art Show on Wickham Sound, you should be able to find us. And we are repeated on Wickham Sound on Monday nights. We're on the Wickham Sound Listen Again, iTunes, Spotify, and wherever else you get your podcasts. Please do leave us a short review on your podcast platform of choice. You can also find us on Facebook. If you search for The Art Show on Wickham Sound, you should be able to find us. And you can email me here on the studio on dane.cobain@wickhamsound.org.uk. That's dane.cobain @wickhamsound.org.uk. So I'm going to leave you with one last tune, and this is Peter Crutchfield with I Wish You Told Me More. I'll catch you next week.
You'd started work as a bank clerk when the clouds of war appeared. You went to fight, thought that was right. You volunteered, you can't have feared what was to come. I'll never know what you saw. You see, I never went to war. I've got your medals in my drawer. I just wish you'd told me more. Put on a ship to distant lands. You fought in fields and on desert sands. First on the beach at Anzio. You had no choice, you had to go, you couldn't say no. I'll never know what you saw. You see, I never went to war. I've got your medals in my drawer. I just wish you'd told me more. What's it like to fire a gun, to be shot at or to shoot someone, to hear friends' cries, to see friends die, to wonder when you'll be home again? I'll never know what you saw. You see, I never went to war. I've got your medals in my drawer. I just wish you'd told me more. You got demobbed, went back to your job, working in a bank. No more mortar shells, no more cordite smells. Just checks to exchange, paper to rearrange. Such a change. I'll never know what you saw. You see, I never went to war. I've got your medals in my drawer. I just wish you'd told me more. The respects you paid on Remembrance Day to the ones you left behind. Time to reflect, thoughts to recollect. You showed your pride, but kept so much deep inside. I'll never know what you saw. You see, I never went to war. I've got your medals in my drawer.